Now, and hear from Elaine Williams, who is the Reform UK candidate to be the next West Midlands Mayor. We spoke to her a little earlier.
Good morning.
What is your offer to the voters of the West Midlands?
Well, my offer is different from the other candidates. I'm going to start with travel, and I'm going to be looking at revisiting the whole of the transport system that we've got. Earlier in the week, the BBC ran an article as to how expensive the metro has become and is becoming, that they actually got from the transport part of the West Midlands Combined Authority, and it's really getting out of control. We need to have a total rethink on that, look at cost-effective ways of how to get people around rather than investing in vanity projects. So that's one of the things I'll be looking at, is the transport system, particularly buses as well. We need to ensure that we have more bus routes, but we can use smaller buses, such as community transport buses, to connect up communities in a better way. There's a lot of detrimental traffic schemes that are coming in across the West Midlands, particularly in Birmingham. There's low traffic neighbourhood schemes, the clean air zone, 20 mile an hour speed limits are actually making motorists' lives much more difficult.
You are prepared, if you like, to pay the price of having dirtier air?
Dirtier air? I mean, how do you measure air? In fact, in Glasgow,
well, you measure it in
London,
terms of particulates
yes, exactly.
and pollution, don't you?
No, that's not. I'm not prepared to have dirtier air, because if you actually look at, let's go to London and Glasgow at this point in time, since they've brought in the so-called ULIZ and clean air zones, actually their air has got dirtier. But
I think that's disputed. I think
also in Birmingham, when they measure it, we have got a huge plant at Tyseley that's actually emits dirt air. So where are they measuring it? I'm not prepared to have dirtier air, but cars these days are actually cleaner than they've ever had been.
All right, well, let's put it this way. You're not prepared to take proactive policies to attempt to clean the air for the residents of the West Midlands?
No, there don't need to be any proactive measures in what you're actually saying, because we don't actually need it. What we need for the West Midlands is for people to be able to move freely around. These policies are actually destroying people's businesses. Nobody can get to various places. And when you actually look at the data and the true data, the clean air, as I said at the beginning, who is actually measuring this and on what basis? Because there are so many factors that affect clean air. I'm all for the environment. I want to see more trees that will actually stop the pollution. Trees have been taken away over the years, and that's actually detrimental. Who's actually been doing that to the people of the West Midlands? I mean, previously, 200 years ago, our air was so much more dirty than it is now, and you're blaming cars for this.
What do you think your chances are? Because most analysis would suggest that you're most likely to succeed in damaging the Conservative Andy Street's attempts to be re-elected.
Well, that's a very interesting comment, but our chances are quite high. I've been out on the streets. The comments that I get are people are actually not happy with Andy Street being the mayor. They want to see change. So we are looking at probably getting quite a good share of the vote on May the 2nd. And, Andy Street is a Conservative. He is an out-and-out Conservative. He's trying to distance himself. But obviously, when you look at various things that he's doing, he's still got the Conservative logo on his ballot paper. He's had a number of MPs come up to help him. So he's just trying to do that to actually distance himself because of the way the Conservatives are going. So, yes, a vote for reform would be a vote for reform, because I know you're going to ask me that question next. And the Conservatives have done this to themselves. They have actually destroyed Britain with their policies, and so many people are unhappy. And all I hear on the doorsteps is enough is enough.
So if you let Labour through the middle, splitting the Conservative vote, would that be a satisfactory outcome?
Well, let's just talk about Labour. Labour are not having it all their way either, because I'm picking up a lot of Labour voters too. It's the fact that both parties now are peddling social policies, and people have had enough. They are fighting. They can't get their parties together, and we need change. It's not just Conservative people that are coming over to us. It's Labour people too. And obviously we've got to also bear in mind that the West Midlands was a huge vote for Brexit, and the Conservative Andy Street was a Remainer. And Labour would take us back into Europe by the back door. All articles that, are being printed in papers at the moment are suggesting that. So my call out is to all people who voted Brexit, it's time to vote reform and to get rid of both the Conservatives and Labour.
Would you like to see Nigel Farage standing in the general election?
With Nigel Farage, personally, I don't think he's going to stand in the general election anyway, because he's, that's my opinion. But obviously, I'm not going to comment on anything to do with Nigel Farage, because it's up to him to make his decision. Whether I wanted him to stand or not makes no difference. At the end of the day, he's got to decide whether he wants to come back and stand, in the general election, or whether he wishes to carry on being our honorary president and taking a back seat.
He also is the major shareholder in the party. If he doesn't stand for election, should he continue to broadcast on GB News throughout the election campaign?
At the end of the day, that's entirely up to him and GB News to decide. That's not something that
but you're entitled to your opinion.
Well, I'm entitled to opinion, but an opinion is that everybody has a choice to actually work and do what they actually want to do. I champion, freedom of speech, and so therefore it's entirely his decision to make, because we're supposed to be living in a country of free speech, but I'm actually questioning that at the moment, the way that the media asks questions and the way that Ofcom interferes. Okay,
Elaine Williams, Reform candidate in the West Midlands, thank you very much indeed for joining us.
Thank you very much.